Thank you for coming to watch Dr. Smith's video today. We encourage you to hit the subscribe button and the alert button. That way you can get notifications when he uploads a new video. Thank you for coming today.
So we hope you take the time to hear and think about it. And if you have a book, read in the book about the concept and the topics that we talk about. They have a lasting effect. The intent is not necessarily to treat pain, but to make permanent, long-term correction with your whole family and your friends.
Thank you. Make sure you subscribe and hit the alert button. Have a good day.
Have a good day. So today our class starts with the windshield wiper principle. In the book that's on page 160. I'd like to review with you the concept because it applies to most of the things we talked about today. The concept in the book is that we all have many different kinds of stress in our life daily. And think of driving in Idaho and it's snowing. And your windshield wipers, you turn them on to get the snow off. If the snow is harder, more heavy, more faster, you like to speed up the wiper, right? To try to keep it clean. If it's icy, you may need to go even faster and turn up the defroster. But the idea, of course, is to keep the window clean. Now, with that concept, I recommend that you routinely apply that principle to yourself in the evening, safely, every day, so that you clear off the stress of the day. Holistically. Now, when I say holistically, that takes us back to page 27 in the book, which shows you the picture of the triangle. We all have, on a daily basis, mental, emotional, and or spiritual stress, like rain or snow. It's important when you go to bed to go to bed clean, so you get rid of it. Now, if we think about chemical corner of the triangle, it's more difficult to clear off chemical toxins every day at night. But you can do some things to facilitate the process of cleaning the windshield during the night. For example, if you were to have a hot shower or a soak in the bathtub, especially if you put Epsom salt or some oils and stuff in it, and you drink water, you're going to sweat, you're going to breathe more deeply, and then during the night, because you have not eaten a big supper, this digestion is all done by the time you go to bed, so the body can clean. So during the night, your lungs, your kidneys, your liver, the normal systems that God gave to you during the night, clean out. And then in the morning when you poop or pee, you dump out what you cleaned out during the night. Now, what about the structural corner of the triangle? We all get, on a daily basis, routine, recurring, biomechanical stress to our body because of the way we sit, the way you hold the baby, the way you hold your computer, the way you drive, the way you work in the kitchen. We all get it. We can't get away from doing that. So what kind of things could you do near bedtime to undo structural stress?
Sacral slide.
Sacral slide. T-zone. Perfect. Now you have some overlapping here. What if you do a hot bath and then do the sacral slide, or a hot bath and then do the T-zone? Does that enhance the value of both? Yes. How long does it take to do the sacral slide and the occipital release? See, the sacral slide is come right to your man. The occipital release technically is of more value to you because the occipital release helps open up the head and get cranial motion improvement before you go to sleep. That allows your brain to work more efficiently. That allows your mind, conscious and subconscious, to do more correlating. It allows you to probably dream better. When you dream at night, what's it an indication of?
Deeper sleep.
Pardon?
REM sleep.
REM sleep. What's happening during REM sleep?
Rest. You're getting your rest.
You're healing. That's when
I'm having an adventure.
yeah. The good thing about a bad dream is when you wake up, you go, "Whew, man, I'm glad there was a dream. It's all done." But that's a good thing. If you're not dreaming, then your windshield is not clean. You're not getting enough deep sleep to help you heal as much as you could. You will always heal better if you get into a deeper sleep. So that's the concept of the windshield wiper principle. Now, the speed of the wiper is variable depending on what? The amount of stress and the type of stress. Any comments about that? Do any of you have stress?
Yeah.
Yeah, we all do. We all do every day in all three areas. Okay, now, one of the things we talked about in this class is things you can do on a regular basis, like the sacral slide, occipital release, to get health improvement. And anything I teach you in this class, you can teach other people. You can share. In fact, if you can't share what I talked to you about, you didn't get it. If somebody says to you, "Why do you do the sacral slide?" And you say, "I don't know."
Smith said to.
Well, then you-
Dr. Smith said to.
Don't do it because I said. I want you to understand the why. The why. Because if you understand the why, you will be more likely to do it. And again, part of the reason we're having this discussion today is because many of you have not established what I call routines in your life that you do every day. Now, routines are important to your body. Healthy bodies, healthy minds have routines. I'd like you to think for a moment about the big picture, about God and the world. If you look at the universe, the universe has an order to it. It might look like chaos when we're down close, but from a distance, it has tremendous order. We're lucky. We live in Idaho and have four distinct seasons. You all know that, right? August 7th is summer. We're now in either spring or winter. I can't tell the difference.
Tomorrow's winter.
Tomorrow's winter. Today's
Spring.
yeah.
Spring.
But there's a routine. There are nature. God has designed things to have a routine, a time to do things, and the scriptures teach that there's a time for everything. Now, why we have this discussion? Because when I have a patient come to me and I talk to them about what they're doing when I'm trying to figure out how to help them the most. I find it's very common that there's a lot of folks out there that have, I'm going to call it a sloppy routine. So when I ask simple questions like, do you have regular bowel movements? To me, that's important for health. And they roll their eyes and they might say, yeah, I do. I had one last week that said, yes, I'm very regular. So I said, does that mean once a month? Oh no, she thought that was funny. I have them every 3 days. Like she was proud to have a bowel movement every 3 days. Well, to me that's a major problem because when you don't have a detox of the large intestine, then you recycle toxins back up to your liver and you start having symptoms like arthritis and stiffness and tiredness and other problems because you're not keeping it clean. Another common one is tell me when to go to bed routinely. And they get, in my opinion, bad answers because I'll get, even from older people, oh, I go to bed maybe 12:30, 1 o'clock. And my question is, why? What are you doing at 12 o'clock at night when you should be in bed, healing? And they say, well, I sleep till 9 or 10 in the morning. So what's the big deal? I get my 9 or 10 hours of sleep. Well, they haven't learned this principle. All hours do not have the same value. When you get in bed before 12, it's more valuable than after 12.
Why?
Because that's divine design. That's the way. That's the way God made it. That's why we're taught early to bed, early to rise. The best time of the day is in the morning when the sun's coming up and it's a new day and it's fresh and that's when you should have the most energy. If people eat late and go to bed late, they don't feel that way in the morning. They're not invigorated. In fact, they have a hard time getting out of bed because they didn't get enough value during the night.
So with the sleep, your body has circadian rhythms, and it's not just at nighttime, it's all throughout the day. So there are times of the day, depending on really the light, that your body is ready for certain things. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's why before midnight is better, because your body has a built-in God-given rhythm.
See, a lot of health problems occur because people do not understand, they haven't been taught basic fundamental laws of health. If we went back to elementary school, they don't teach basic health principles that have to do with their health like they could, like they should. For example, kids carry heavy packs to school. I see them every day walking down there with a pack on the back, they're leaning forward, they have the cell phone. I saw one boy the other day was carrying a horn. His head was about that far forward. So his head is weighing like 50 pounds and he's a skinny little kid. And that compresses his brain, physically compresses the brain and makes it less functionable. So in school, they should teach little kids the same thing we teach a 2-year-old, 1-year-old when they learn how to walk. A 1-year-old has to do what when they start to walk? They have to learn how to balance their head. And they get their head over the middle, and then they can walk and then they can run. When we put you on the T-zone today and had you do this clock, the circle with your feet together, your body was working hard to figure out where center is because that pattern has been off to the side and forward. So those are simple things. That's what we teach you and that's what you should practice. I saw a fellow earlier today who is forward and lean off to the side. And I give them a simple tip that you could all apply. That's when you go shopping, you pick up a card, you have a card. If you go watch, most people who shop have the card here, and if they're old, they lean forward. They rest on them. Well, the bad news is their head's forward. When the head goes forward, it tightens the low back. So a simple thing like turn the hands over this way, get in close, take smaller steps, and then shopping becomes therapy. If you get therapy for 10, 15 minutes, it helps you because you balance and you get back in line. So that's, again, that's a simple practice that you can apply that will help elevate your energy. Now, when you have more energy in your body by following principles, laws, mechanical laws, and chemical laws, and mental laws, then your body has more energy to heal systems that are weakened because they've been overutilized, like diabetes, like heart problems, like arthritis, like any kind of organ problem you have or joint problem you have will heal better if you spend less energy on the mechanics of the imbalance.
I noticed that people that are using walkers to the elderly, they, instead of standing close to the walker, most of them are like leaning forward like they're pushing it instead of like holding them up.
And that's right, most of the walkers are too low. Same with cane, people walk with canes that are too low. They lean on them, or they lean on one cane. They're not only down, they're turned. And that complicates the whole thing. So, routines that help you clean up the windshield wiper, that means windshield lowers the stress. That's the concept. Do anything you can to lower the stress. Now, let's go to the test. I didn't pass that out, you did it.
Can sleep be a psychological thing? Because I get really, really tired before bed, and as soon as I lay down, I'm wide awake, and I lay there for an hour.
So what do you want?
So I get up and take REM or Valerian or something. But
What time do you get in bed?
depends on the day, 11:30, 12. I'm
Bad,
one of those people.
bad girl.
Yeah, tell my husband that.
Here's one. Here's the extra one. I find if I do the enema at night, that I tend to stay awake more. So I've been doing it in the morning and I can get to sleep better. Do you know why that would be?
Caffeine.
No, because if you do the animal like I teach you, you clean out the caffeine. You do coffee and then water. Okay?
I don't always do it till it's clear. So that's the reason.
Probably.
Okay.
Our oldest son, Adam, does a coffee enema every night. I can call him anytime, late at night, and I'll ask him, "Are you in your office?" And I'll hear a flush. That means yes.
Should you do it at night, not the morning?
I recommend morning because again, you clean all night. That's the best time to do it before you eat, to get out. And it's important to rinse it out. Keep in mind, the purpose of the coffee enema is to clean the liver, not the bowel. The bowel cleanse is a secondary benefit. It also, the secondary benefit in the bowel is a lot of folks who have, I'm going to call that a bowel imbalance, either not regular, like they skip a day or two or three, or they may have 2 or 3 bowel movements per day. Both are not good. A normal, healthy is 1 time. Clean it all up. And the best time is morning. So if you do the coffee enema, and then you follow it up with a rinse, or 2, or 3 if you need 3, to get it all cleaned out. So you start the day clean. You will assimilate your nutrients better that you take during the day to nurture your body. Okay, now to the test. Number 1, true, false. Ragland's test, what is that?
That's blood pressure. Blood pressure twice.
You take your blood pressure twice. 1 time, either sitting or lying for at least 2 minutes to get a baseline. Then what?
Stand up and do it again.
Stand up and do it again. Do you wait a minute or 2 or 3?
No.
No, you do it immediately. Why? Because when you stress your body, you want to test to see what your body does right then. This morning I did a regular test on a lady with 124. That was a systole, which is a pretty good number. But when she stood up, it dropped to 117. And that means that a little bit of stress, just standing up, her body couldn't quite handle that properly. What should it do?
Adrenals.
What should the blood pressure?
Well, should go up.
How far?
At least 10.
About 10. Yeah, about 10. I like to think of it this way. If we do a regular test and the blood pressure goes up 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, they're getting better slowly. If it goes up 10 or higher, they're getting better faster. If the blood pressure drops a little bit, they're slowly going downhill. If it drops a lot, like I had a fellow not too long ago, he's dropped 45. Now, I don't like to bear bad news, but I said to him, because he had no real major symptoms. But he said, you're going downhill fast. We need to slam on the brakes and stop that. So he had multiple pulls in his bucket. They were draining them out. And we reviewed some of them and plugged them up so the bucket could fill back up. So the regular test you can do at home. You can buy a little blood pressure cuff at Walgreens, put on your wrist. They're accurate enough for under $40. And you can do it. You can self-assess, you can monitor your family. I like to monitor myself, and I do the same thing I tell you to do. Some days my blood pressure will go down a little bit. I take a BFF or off the adrenaline to give my body a little bit of extra support. And on those days, I make sure that I get my nap on time.
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
So when it says monitor current health plateau and direction of path, what does that mean and how does that tie into the conversation about sleep? The Ragland test. What are
If you fail the Ragland test, if you fail it, that means you're not on a plateau.
okay?
You're going down.
Okay.
Your path is down the hill.
Okay.
That's how it applies.
And so if you're trying to get better sleep, how does that, with the conversation today, I guess I don't know, am I done?
Okay.
I don't get how that ties in.
When people fail the Ragland test, I would usually recommend, well, I always recommend more rest. Early to bed, more time resting and or sleeping.
So it's an indicator of poor sleep, is what?
It's an indicator of the poor or insufficient, one or the other.
Okay, that answers it.
And it's not just sleep, it's stress on the body, which
that's
sleep
the
is a
adrenals.
big
Is one
indicator.
Isn't that an indication of adrenal problem?
Got it, thank you.
Yes, it is. But the adrenal gland can be perfectly functioning and have the blood pressure drop. I call the adrenal gland the mother. You know, mom do this, mom do that, mom helps everybody with everything. And then mom says,
I'm tired.
I'm tired. I just can't do anymore. That's when the adrenal gland says, the mother, do it yourself. Suck it up. Spend more time in bed. See, now some people have what we're talking about, deep holes. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes. Let's go into number 2. So number 1 is true. 2, underline the word routine, lifestyle, patterns. I've talked enough about things that I do and I recommend. You could probably guess some of the things, some of my patterns. For example, if you call me on the phone at 10 o'clock at night, guess what you're going to get?
Answering machine.
You're going to get the answering machine. What about 1:30 in the afternoon?
Answering machine.
Why?
Nap.
I'm in bed. I nap. That's part of my routine.
When you love one.
Erin, you should be napping. Don't make faces because you have a baby.
I work full time.
Nap anyway.
How long do you nap?
Now you're getting personal.
What? He said now you're getting personal.
What's the optimal?
Like, what's a good amount to get
I
rest?
remember the
and
prophet
broad-
saying before, take a 10-minute power nap. I think 10 minutes, that doesn't do it for me.
Let me ask you a question. My schedule between 12:30 and 2:30, 2-hour walk. I'm either in bed, get into bed, or get in up. How long do you sleep? About an hour and 15 minutes
Okay,
every day,
okay.
even in church.
Are you my councilman?
After- we don't like afternoons.
But
1 o'clock second.
I have a comment. But really, it comes down to the 63 hours a week is
Yes.
how much you should nap. So
Yes.
if you're not averaging 9 hours, you need to bring up that average with your naps.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So it doesn't matter. It's different for everybody depending on how many hours of sleep they're getting.
When they get into bed.
Okay.
And you were talking about your particular routine.
I'm
So
thinking
what
about
works for you?
my routine. Now, I made a comment about late sacrament meeting. On Sunday, I have a nap at 10:20. I sleep till 11:30. I get up and go to church. I come home after and have another nap.
I have mine during.
Keep in mind he's up at 5 o'clock, so. So sometimes when people work full time, like I worked full time and I had an hour lunch break.
Yeah.
And I was fortunate enough, I lived about 5 minutes from my house. So I'd go home for lunch and you know what I would do? I would lay down for 20 minutes. And I trained myself, okay, 20 minutes, I'm gonna lay here and breathe deep, relax everything I can, try to quiet my mind. And my alarm would go off in 20 minutes and I would get up and have lunch and go back to work.
Even if you would, because I work from home, so I can do that. But even if you can't get to sleep in that 20 minutes,
Just
just
laying.
and
That
resting.
laying there will recharge your batteries way better than having a Coke.
Okay.
So it's way better.
Are you sure?
I am super positive about
And not on your
that.
phone.
Yeah, don't be on your phone. Lay there quietly. Turn a fan on if you need some quiet, something for your brain to focus on.
Keep in mind, if we talk about the word sleep and rest, they're different. If you're keeping track of your hours to heal, rest counts about 80% of sleep. So if you rest for 1 hour, that's equivalent to about 48 minutes of sleep. About. And no, nothing's on. No TV, no music, no listening to the waves, you know, it's just you. And sometimes people say, well, it's light in the daytime. Well, close your eyes.
I have a little mask that I wear that shuts out the lights.
That's
So
right.
say it again, 48 minutes of
Rest.
rest is like an hour's,
It's just like 80%.
oh, 80%.
An hour equals 48.
So just
Okay.
like laying in bed.
Okay, now,
Not
It's
really
also
so long.
beneficial.
routine
Yes.
lifestyle
It's, he said that
patterns.
it's about 80%. So if you're trying to get like 62 hours.
Which of the following are included?
without anything.
So, when people have an accident and they go to the doctor and the doctor has to do some kind of a disability exam, I'm going to talk to you about that concept. When we do a disability exam for a person who's been in an accident, we have a big checklist that says, can you do your own laundry? No. Can you make your own bed? No. Can you clean your own bathroom? No. You know, and on and on and on and on and on. Well, a lot of people who are, quote, healthy don't do those things because they can't, because they haven't the energy ability to do it. And instead of calling it activities of daily living, I've changed the words for routine lifestyle patterns. And the idea is not to claim handicap. The idea is to do what we need to do to abide by the laws of health, to improve your overall well-being, and do what and really do what you say when you do your affirmation. I'm getting better and better every day in every way. That's a very vague statement, but your subconscious mind can take that statement and cause you to get rid of bad friends, eat less chips, make different choices in your life, because the subconscious mind now works with your conscious mind and your spirit to help you become better and better. So, letter A, in bed by 10 o'clock.
Yes.
If that's not a routine for you, I recommend that you do it. Now, ask me the question, doctor, when do you go to bed?
When she goes to bed. Oh, I'm supposed to ask you. When do you go to bed? They're asking me.
Before 10,
Okay.
for sure. How long does it take to get ready for bed?
An hour for you.
40 minutes.
40 minutes?
30.
It varies quite a bit for me.
So that means I don't have a routine.
Absolutely not.
So circle this. Underline routine, lifestyle pattern, repair, repair.
Repair. That's a good one.
Now what if you can't get to sleep? You go to bed and you lay there. Well, there's one thing you can do while you're in bed. It's very effective and it's acceptable. Pray.
I do.
Just stay there and pray. God will hear you. If he doesn't, he'll get a second hand from some angel. The words will get up there. Level bed with proper sleep posture. Never sleep in a hammock. Never sleep on your stomach. We're in a level bed, proper posture. And today is not the time to talk about that in detail, but you should be on either side with a thick pillow, enough to hold your head from going down, not too high that it goes up. You want your head in line with the body and chin slightly elevated. Knees bent slightly, feet slightly back. C, breakfast with focus on protein and fat, not carbohydrates. Now, why did they put that in there? Here's the answer. Of all 3 meals of the day, breakfast is the most important meal. It should contain protein and fat, and a small amount of carbohydrate. So when I have health, not people who say, oh, I have a fruit smoothie every morning for breakfast. Well, guess what? It won't work. Because that's not what the body needs in the morning. The body doesn't need a big boost, especially if it got a good enough sleep. It needs fuel for the day. Fuel for the day. That's why you put fat and protein in.
So let me ask you a question then. If I'm putting my vegetable fruit powder in my morning smoothie, I shouldn't be doing that?
Which one do you put in?
The vegetable,
The fat fruit.
fruit
Okay.
one.
How much do you put in?
A cap,
Okay.
a scoop.
What else do you put in there? Do you
I,
put oil?
I put oil or an avocado. I put a little molasses. I put sauerkraut. I put a little pineapple.
Too much.
What?
Too much?
So now you're leaning on excessive carbohydrate.
Okay.
Can you have some? Yes.
So if I have the pineapple, I cut down on my scoop.
Yes.
Okay.
More fat, more protein.
Well, now your super duper cereal is made with oats and they're carbs.
No, they're not.
Since when?
Grains have, okay, let me tell you about the size of molecules. Yes, there are carbohydrates in all grains. They're all a small amount. How much? Perfect amount. Who designed them?
God.
The perfect amount. So when it says wheat should be the staff of life, you can live off wheat. Okay. It has protein and fat, right? A lot. So if we draw a picture of a molecule of fat, carbohydrate, and protein, and they're all the same size, we'll use a cube. All basically the same size. Fat has we'll say 9 calories. Protein has how many? 5. Carbohydrate, sugar has how many? 4. So that little tiny bit of fat in the grain gives you the fat.
Okay. So, but the fat also ties up your carbohydrates so they last longer and become a different type of,
That's correct.
like glycemic index type food rather than just the sugar one.
Exactly. Let me tell you a true story quickly. I've told it before, somebody's heard it. I had a patient who was an accountant. He spent a lot of time at the office. His wife owned a health food store. So I knew that he was eating good stuff. But his plateau was low. He was tired a lot. He didn't sleep well. After having him come for a couple of months, I said, we need to talk because you're doing something wrong. Tell me what you do. He said, well, my wife runs a health food store, and she gives to me a shake every morning, and I drink one on my way to work. What's in the shake? Guess what was in the shake? It was carbohydrate, mostly. What about lunch? Oh, I don't have time for lunch. I'm, usually tied up in a meeting or busy or whatever. I said, so you come home from work, you skipped, you had a high carbohydrate breakfast, you skipped lunch, you come home for supper. What kind of supper do you have? He goes, oh man, yeah, I have a great supper. My wife does, and for me, a lot of it. What time? Well, I have to rest when I get home for a while, so we eat probably 7:30, 8 o'clock. And then I go to bed soon thereafter, but I don't sleep good. I said, okay, boy, we're gonna make a change. When you go home tomorrow night, tell your wife, take your supper, save it for breakfast. I want you smoothie now for supper. Eat the evening meal for breakfast. you won't be able to eat it all. Take some of it to work, snack it at lunch. So he ate the same food exactly. Took him about 1 week. Whoosh, turn him around. Okay? Because we ate the right thing at the right time. Lighter seasonal slanted lunch. Snacking or grazing kept to a minimum. Why keep snacking or grazing to a minimum?
So you can,
Rest
give it a rest.
We want the stomach, especially, to empty, be clean, prepared for the next meal. If you graze a snack, it never gets empty and it can't prepare for the next snack. And most people who have that problem have a compromised gut. So then the stomach doesn't work properly and it goes into, the material goes into the small intestine and we have another problem. They get gas, they don't get the value out of the food because it wasn't broken down. And then it gets into the large intestine and because they're low on water, they get constipated. So it's a big problem. So don't keep snacking at a minimum. F, 2/3 of daily water intake by 3 o'clock. I recommend that strongly. And some of you have seen Deborah, she will tell you to add some salt, real salt to your water in the morning to help power the DNA.
Why by 3?
Same reason as you eat a good breakfast, because your body needs the water to carry on basic functions, number 1. Number 2, how many times do you have to get up in the night to pee? If it's more than once, you drink too much too late.
Didn't you say nap after 3 is useless as well?
Not useless, less value.
Okay.
Interferes with your nighttime sleep, right?
No.
Too tired?
Most people who don't sleep well at night are too tired to sleep. They're too tired to sleep. That's why I recommend when you get tired, if you can, unless you're working full time, when you get tired, nap then. So if you're tired at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock in the morning, that's when you need to nap. Don't wait till you're bagging at 3 and that's like a lifeguard. I worked as a lifeguard. As a lifeguard, we watch all the swimmers. And when they start to struggle, we blow the whistle and tell them to get out. Sometimes they don't want to get out, they want to stay. When they start bobbing under the water, we don't want to get wet. Lifeguards don't want to get wet. So we get them out early before they get in trouble. Now, G, conservative exercise, 3 to 5 times per week. That means just get a B, even if you have a T-zone. If you get on your T-zone 5 times a week and you use it conservatively, you will get better and better and better. You don't have to use it every day. Wing exercise, 10 to 12 minutes is adequate. Now, it's common. If people come to me on a low plateau with multiple deep hole kinds of problems, and that yet they're exercising for an hour or longer every day, they will never get well because they're spending more energy than they're taking in. And all they need to do, you can write these words down. You can achieve total fitness in 30 minutes a week. That's 10 minutes 3 times. Conservative. Now we're not talking about champion weightlifters. We're not talking about competitive high school or college athletes. We're talking about you being healthy. You only need 10 to 12 minutes 3 times a week. Now I'll give you a few bad examples. I had a couple come to see me a couple months ago that were getting ready to go on mission to Washington, D.C. And they were bound to determine they were going to toughen up a little bit before they went. So they were over at the mall walking for an hour every morning. And I had them walk down the hallway and then back. And I took their picture and I showed them the picture. And said, do you think you should be walking down an hour? Well, the lady had both knees replaced. The husband had a hip replacement. They looked like a couple of the old used cars wobbling down the road. So what did I tell them? Don't go to the mall.
Don't go to the mall, go to bed.
Go to bed, have a nap. Yes, yes, for sure. A lady from Utah Monday morning came in and she was riding a bicycle 45 minutes every day. And I said, and she failed the reckless test. So I told her, go ride your bike for 10 minutes. She wants to get out, she wants to get out in nature and do some things and be active. I said, ride down 5, turn around, come back, get off your bike, go have a nap. It will do your farmer good if you want to get well.
I do the T-zone morning and night for about 10 minutes each time. So should I cut that down? Every day.
Should you?
I'm pretty good at it, yeah.
Okay, well, keep this in mind. It won't hurt you if you stay within the 10 minutes twice a day. Do you have pain? If you have no pain, that's a good guide. The general rule is if you do any exercise, whatever it may be, today, you have no pain. Tomorrow you have pain. Then the next day, do half what you did that caused the pain. Do half and see if you have no pain. If you have no pain, you're okay. Do that much. And then gradually raise it up. Now, the real question I have for her would be, if you're doing 10 minutes twice a day, do you gain that much more value? Probably not. What about doing 10 minutes in the morning or 12, and then do maybe 2 or 3 or 4 minutes a couple of other times? That would be better for you than 2 long periods. So let me say that in a different way. Short exercise is better than too much. Let me show you a graph to show you how that works. This graph would represent time and how you feel. You start out, you exercise, you feel better and better, and then you plateau, and then you start to get tired. What should you do?
Stop.
Stop, not back up, stop. If you don't stop, what's going to happen?
Good.
You plateau, and then you dive. We never want to fatigue tissue. Now that will change from day to day, from person to person. We all have different patterns. The idea is to, when you get tired, you're done. You'll learn the same thing in the kitchen, right? When it's cooked, take it off. Or you turn it into hospital food, school food. And dad knows when it's done. When is it done? You can spot it. You can spot.
When the smoke alarm goes off.
Yeah. Okay, smaller, early evening meal. Be thankful for all, easy or hard, and forgive abundantly. That's a mental emotional windshield wiper. We have deaths in our family, we have divorces, we have kids that go bad, we have spouses that go bad. Abundantly forgive. Just forgive, forgive, forgive. In fact, you're going to help your spouse do something bad so he'll have a reason to forgive you.
Oh,
Like burning the cookies.
So last
I do
night,
that.
I spent the day in bed and I can smell what's coming from the kitchen. It's like, that's a pretty strong smell. And so I walk out and he's watching TV in the recliner. I go, are you cooking something? I don't think so. And I go in there and I can see the air fryer, so I pull it out and here's this steak. And it's black and I go, with the fork and I go, were you cooking this? Wasn't that yours?
And he said, I forgive you.
It wasn't me, it was him.
No, you said
Oh,
him.
I just rolled my eyes and went back in the bedroom. Not gonna lie.
Okay, next time he does that, don't roll your eyes.
All right.
Just say, dear,
You're so adorable.
I forgive you for burning your steak.
I forgive
don't.
you.
Okay, number 3, earthing is a free gift from God and is available to all. Knowing about it is the key to its use in the real. True. When you can, you should all get an earthing mat to sleep on, to hook you up to the power of Mother Earth.
How do you know if it's actually working? If you've got it plugged into the wall, how do you know the mat is there any way to test that it's really working?
It's working.
Trust.
They have a
I
little
don't feel
test
ever
thing
feel any different.
to plug in your deal and tell you if you're grounded or not.
If you're grounded, it's working. You can trust the company that made the material. They've done a lot of research on the material that's in the mat. It's working. It will always work. Number 4, salts. Now make a note that has an S on the end of it. That doesn't mean Morton's or Leslie's. Salt, that's salt. This is salts. That's real salt from the earth. The answer is true. It powers the DNA that stabilizes blood pressure. 5, patients with multiple dipole conditions need the 63 hours a week. We talked about that. That's critical. I could tell the story after story of people who don't get well because they don't get enough sleep, young and old. Your baby gets more than 63 hours
Yeah.
because she's growing. You should be getting close to that. Number 6.
Which new mom does, right?
Yeah.
But you have to do your best.
Yeah.
And when you get flack from a family member, look at them right now and say, I'm healing. I'll be back. I'm gonna go heal for an hour. Number 7. Number 6. You can't buy health. That's the bottom. You cannot buy health back. If you lose it, you have to earn it. You have to earn it by adhering to divine laws. 7. Most bodily functions occur automatically as the systems are in place to ensure survival. Circle the word survival. It's not the same as health. Right now, we have 4 million Ukrainians that are in survival mode. We have 400 million Chinese right now today that are in survival mode. They are not healthy people. They won't be healthy because some of them cannot abide by health laws like you and I can. We're very fortunate. 8. By violating health laws, I break down myself. The laws will never break. True. 9. When I practice and teach health principles, gain a great understanding and appreciation for them and the value. I encourage you to share with your family and friends what you learn in the class. All of it, any of it. So when next time you're shopping at Sam's and you get caught with a couple of bottles of coffee in your cart, and they're looking at you, looking at the coffee, and looking at you, looking at the coffee, you tell them, you probably wonder why I have this coffee. Let me explain.
You say, sorry I asked.
And I also had vodka at home.
Yeah, and wine for your feet.
No wine for my feet.
Let me look under your tongue and see if you'd had a coffee anyway. Makes for great discussion. Number 10, which is most important to me?
Should be all.
Oh,
Or E.
Should be? Yeah, should be.
Comment.
Yes.
Something that struck me when I first started coming to see you and you told me to quit exercising if I'm in pain, that was so foreign to me. And it's hit me recently that not only am I feeling better because I've cut back on my amount of exercise, but the world tells you to push yourself, push yourself. If you want to have this body, you gotta be willing to sweat for hours a day. And you're telling me to go to bed. So, so we know that the world doesn't tell the truth. And I'm pretty sure that you do. So that just kind of connected for me today. For some reason, that was my thought.
Good. Thank you for sharing that. Remember, I've told you over and over, don't try to be an A student. Just get to be. Just to be. Okay? If you try to get an A, you will overdo it. And your body, again, most of what happens in your body happens automatically. We just have to tweak it here and there a little tiny bit. And if you're not, you can be hardcore. If you're not willing to adhere to the universal laws of health, you're going to have a very uncomfortable time in the highest kingdom. Because the highest kingdom lives higher laws. We say, well, I really like to snack. I really like to watch the movie instead of going to bed. Well, there's a place for you on the other side. They have TVs, all kinds of stuff.
I love it.
Okay, thank you.